The biggest mystery to me of Cold Chillin', and you talk about it in the book and you interview Granddaddy IU for it, but Smooth Assassin to me is the best album that gets the least attention on Cold Chillin'. So before I start into those specific questions, what was your impression sonically listening to Smooth Assassin, the album by Granddaddy IU?
So that album was produced by, mostly put together by Granddaddy IU and his brother, and then with Cool V overseeing it, and not much Biz Markie input.
Even though it was a Biz Markie production.
But Biz Markie did show up a handful of times and obviously approved the final product. It sounds like a record on Cold Chillin', which goes back to my point. Like, after Marley's out of the picture, they're able to follow this mold that was created by Marley and make more records that were consistent with the sound of Cold Chillin'.
Right.
It's a great record. Yeah.
So that one and the Grand Imperial Diamond Show are the two post-Marley albums that I think are the best.
Okay.
So, in your opinion, with each one, I want you to explain, like, what made them noteworthy to you, and then why do you think they didn't get to the Biz Markie, Big Daddy Kane, Kool G Rap levels?
Grand Imperial Diamond Shell. Diamond Shell was the rapper who was the younger brother of Biz Markie. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. Definitely the brother of Biz Markie.
Yes.
I want to say the younger brother. I don't know what led to that album sort of being not getting as much attention. It could have had to do with the fact that by '91, Cold Chillin' was putting out a lot of records. And when you put out a lot of records at the same time, you're spreading your resources thin. You're not giving each one enough attention. And then what happened was there was a reckoning with Warner Brothers, who was distributing and doing a lot of the marketing with Cold Chillin' at the time, where they said, look, you're just putting out too many records. We're gonna have to we're gonna have to chop the roster. We're gonna have to, at least on our end, you can do what you want with the people that we're gonna cut. And it's all completely based on sales. And so a lot of people in '91, Master Ace included, got booted off of the Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Master Ace told me there was a line, and he was the first name under the line.
His first name under the line. And I want to say Granddaddy IU was the first name above the line, or at least he was definitely above the line.
Okay.
And so Granddaddy IU, that album has a song called Something New, which samples I'm Your Puppet, and that song got played a lot on K-Day. So we thought that Granddaddy IU's like the next big thing, and we had this Warner Brothers Cold Chillin' made this like promotional Granddaddy IU scarf, because he dressed like a 40s mobster.
Yeah.
So I had the scarf, and I don't know. I mean, it's tough, selling a lot of records in hip hop or in any genre of music. So some great stuff ends up inevitably falling through the cracks.
Yeah, well, I think for those that don't know Granddaddy IU, Smooth Assassin, please do yourself a favor and listen to that album, because a lot of the samples that Cool V and the rest of the production squad used, really we see later used on a lot of big records, including I'm Your Puppet, but you'll see.
Yeah, High C would be
High
one
C,
of them. Yeah, I'm Not Your Puppet.
Black Moon,
Yeah.
there's a lot. So just listen to that album. And then Grand Imperial Diamond Shell, from Diamond Shell, Biz Markie's brother, I just thought there's a lot of samples used there that are used a lot of places elsewhere, but I thought he, like Biz Markie, had really good stories. Some of them were pretty funny, and he was just a quirky guy like Biz Markie, but he wasn't as charismatic per se. He was more like lyrical and he had his own style, but I just thought Cool V did a great job overseeing both of those albums and working on them, man. And that's where I was like, man, these two albums I think could have done a lot better and been bigger. And I wish, those are two that I always think about, like, man, what happened?
Yeah, and Biz Markie is one of the guys who, picked a lot of his own samples.
Right. Which you talk about extensively in the book.
Even when he was working with Marley, he would pick his own samples, and he picked samples that ended up on other people's records too, like the Blind Alley by The Emotions, which is used on Ain't No Half Steppin' by Kane. Easy Mo B played that, and Biz heard it, and Biz played it for Kane and Cool V, and then it ended up on the Kane record. So that was an interesting story about how one sample goes through all these hands before it becomes, gets on its own record and becomes a hit.
Right. And then what would you say, looking at from your interviews and writing the book, that you learned about the Cold Chillin business that you weren't familiar with before diving into this?
The business of... Here's something I was under the impression that these labels like Tommy Boy and Cold Chillin and Def Jam, the big 80s rap labels, were in like bitter competition with each other. And really, at least in the first, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, they were friendly with each other, because if you think about it, hip-hop was so scorned and so shunned, and Yo MTV Raps didn't come along until '88, which was like way late in the game. And then Mr. Magic lost his radio show a couple times on WBLS, but they just wanted good things for hip-hop music.
So looking back, ultimately, what do you think was the undoing of Cold Chillin?
I think the undoing had more to do with the fact that they couldn't consistently produce hits.
That's a big problem as a record label.
It is. That's the most difficult thing, and that really makes or breaks a label. Other things happened in the early 90s that negatively impacted the label, like the label was sued by Gilbert O'Sullivan's publishing company for not because they didn't clear a sample, Alone Again Naturally, for a Biz Markie song. And then also Cool G Rap and DJ Polo's third album, Live and Let Die, was booted off of Warner Brothers, and Cold Chillin had to release it independently because the whole industry was in this state of hysteria about the song Cop Killer by Body Count. And but I don't know if those things alone would have sunken the label had they been consistently coming out with hit records. Just a Friend was the biggest hit ever on Cold Chillin. It came out in '89, and it went platinum by mid-1990 or April '90 or somewhere around there. And there was nothing even close to that sales-wise. And then also going into the '90s, you have all these different cities with their scenes coming up. N.W.A. was huge and created this massive power vacuum where it was all about West Coast gangster rap, and a lot of New York things sort of fell through the cracks. And the South was starting to bubble up. There was a lot of things happening. So instead of just, hip-hop being this concentrated thing basically in New York and Philadelphia, and everyone competing with each other, a couple dozen people competing with each other to get the hit record, now it's a nationwide thing, and pretty soon a worldwide thing.
Yeah. Well, there it is, y'all. Well, Ben, thanks for coming through, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. As you guys could tell, I love this book, Goin Off, the history of the Juice Crew and Cold Chillin Records. If you guys don't have a copy, please buy it, support it. You're going to learn a lot from it. It's a lot of great interviews. Ben did a great job putting it together. It's on BMG Books worldwide, and thank you for coming through, Ben.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, man. Soren Baker, Unique Access.
Be sure to check out the history of gangster rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
What's that 5 on Yo MTV Raps with N.W.A?
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.